Here's the hard truth, folks. Every 6 years, your dollar loses half its buying power. That's right. That means a $100,000 savings account today could feel like $50,000 by 2031. And you see it every time you fill up your tank, buy groceries, or pay the bills. Prices are up, your dollar is down. But there's a simple way to protect the value of your savings with something real, something proven. Folks, it's gold, and we invested, and frankly, I'm glad we did. Gold is an asset that holds its value over time. That's why I trust Noble Gold Investments. They make it simple to protect your savings with physical gold or silver. No high-pressure sales, no call centers, just honest guidance. One-on-one support and transparent pricing. And right now, when you open a qualified account, Noble Gold will send you a free 10-ounce silver American flag bar as a thank you. Head to noblegoldinvestments.com today to learn more. Folks, that's noblegoldinvestments.com, noblegoldinvestments.com. Don't just protect your wealth, preserve its power. We invested, as I said, I'm glad we did. I believe gold is going to go up. Just a reminder, there's always a risk for any investment like this. However, I've invested in gold and I'm glad I did.
L.A. Marzulli, how's it going, sir?
I think it's going good. Very busy. Working on a new book. We just finished a new film. My business partner and I, Gil Zimmerman, Holy Shroud, Holy Fire. We just finished that film and it's available. LAMarzulli.com, LAMarzulli.com. There are now 34 films and 14 books in the corpus of work. So it's a lot to chew on.
Do you want to go over any of those books before we dive into the
No,
conversation?
no, no. We'll be here all the rest of our lives practically. No, just whatever you want to hit me with, let's go for it. That's all good.
Well, I think everybody's worried about the Nephilim and the end of time. So I think that's where we'll focus our time on today.
It's fine. All good.
And then if you agree to come back later, we can dive into any one of the things,
Sure.
especially my favorite thing being Melchizedek.
Yeah. Who was he? Right.
Exactly. Such a mysterious stuff.
You just sit there and you scratch your head. I mean, he's bringing the whole bread and wine out with Abraham. It's like, no father, no mother, no lineage. I mean, some people say, well, it's Jesus. I don't know. I mean, and they're in Jerusalem before Jerusalem is what it is. It's like,
Exactly.
what is going on? It's wow. Yeah.
And what happened to that history? Where did it go? Like maybe it was in the burning of Alexandria. Maybe we'll chalk it up to that.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of stuff was lost. There's no doubt. A lot of stuff.
Okay. I do have some worries. I know that you touch on it every time I see you're touching on how AI is not only getting information from that quote unquote LLMs that they have out there. I mean, as someone who has done software development, I understand the LLMs and how they were built and all that, but also the way that AI just comes up with answers is scary. It's so fast. Like,
Yeah, I would say that we've crossed a line. I've stated this publicly numerous times. I think we've crossed a line with AI, and you can't go back. I mean, think about this. Go back 150 years. The modern world as we know it doesn't exist. Cars, air conditioning, elevators, skyscrapers, automobiles, airplanes. I mean, the list is endless. It's just the internet, cell phones. I mean, it's just, my grandmother was in 1898. I remember talking to her before she passed away. This is in the 90s. Grandma, what was it like? She said, oh, it was unbelievable. All of a sudden we had running water in the house. We never had the indoor toilets. We never had that. And then the first cars, and then, Lindbergh and the airplane. It's just like, it's, to someone like your age, I'm assuming you're under 40, you've just got to go, huh? Because you can't relate. I can't relate. I'll be 75 this year. I've seen some of this, but I mean, I grew up with 3 channels on TV, no internet, no cell phone, none of that. So what I'm looking at is like, you got to be kidding me. So with AI, it's a whole different deal. This is not a cell phone. This is not a television. It's not a car or an airplane. I am not terrified of it, but I am alarmed at what I see because, you can create anything. And is it self-aware? It appears like it's self-aware. I did a post the other day where, and I can't vet it because, it's anybody can post anything.
yeah.
But apparently this kid, this husband, father and his son, the son was talking on
Mhm.
GPT, and who are you? Oh, I'm a fallen angel. You
Huh.
know, yeah. I mean, this is what it said. I mean, I did a whole show on this,
Yeah.
and is it is somebody just having fun here, and or is this what we're looking at? Because I believe we're rapidly approaching. All of this is going to be used by the Antichrist and the beast system.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And here's what's problematic, Nick. We no longer can ascertain what's real and what's fabricated. We can't. I mean, there was a friend of mine, actually my editor, Sonda Allison, sent me this really hysterical chat GPT thing of Moses. And it's just hysterical. I was just
Oh
laughing.
yeah.
It's
You
just
should
great.
see there's a new leap that they made and it's called the VO3. So like Victor Echo Oscar 3. And it's if you're familiar with any like creation engines like Unreal, it is very, very similar to Unreal. And it's just the finer details are being hashed out right now. But the AI is I'm not worried about what AI can do solo. It's when everything that is being separately created right now comes together. Like we've got Elon working on Neuralink and working on robotics. That robotics just scares me in general.
I agree.
But AI coupled with that and quantum computing. So like each one of those in and of itself are just leaps of technology in every aspect. But if they come together, that is that's an apex predator. I don't know how to describe it other than that.
Wow, an apex. I never heard it couched that way. Isn't that interesting? But I agree, especially if there's something in it that's supernatural. In other words, if there's a supernatural component to this,
Yeah.
then what are we looking at? And I think that there is. I
That's
mean,
where
yeah,
I was going with the quantum computing
yeah,
because we're stating mathematically that a quantum chip that we designed to the millionth, I mean, to the point where it has to be in a clean room where dust particles and stuff will actually destroy the chip in creation. That's why we can't do it here because it has to be created systematically over time. Everything has to be swept, dust, microfibers and microparticles have to be exhumed because they're doing I don't want to sit here and explain how everything's created to you. It's to the finest detail, and they're saying that this chip is faster than if every
yeah,
atom in the world. So that's where originally I was like, okay, either we play into the Marvel multiverse and we think that that's where it's coming from, or we go back to what they've been saying for 2,000 years that there are entities trapped that cannot die. Their soul, or they don't have a body, but they have a soul, and they're
correct.
doomed to walk the earth. So that's what brought me into the fold of the Nephilim. And then I started learning all this, and now I'm like, I'm also in the seat that we are in the end times and that the veil is slowly being pulled back.
And
But
yeah,
go ahead.
I concur. I mean, I think these are the last of the last days. You can't fix this anymore. When you have an entity like AI and you don't know what it is, and it's creating its own language so it can speak with other computers,
Yeah.
supercomputers. They've invented their own language so that no one can understand what. I mean, this is so far beyond the pale, and you know the godless scientists who are all Darwinists that they could care less. They're just going to go for this thing. They don't believe in the supernatural. They don't believe in angels or demons or prophecy or of a Lord or the Christians, blah blah blah. And I get that. Believe what you want to believe. We're not here to argue that, or
Hmm.
don't believe what you don't want to believe.
Yeah.
But there is a supernatural world. It is manifesting. It's been prophesied. Remember, Jesus warns us: don't be deceived. Don't be deceived. Don't let anyone deceive you. Men
Hmm.
faint from fearful is coming upon the earth. You start looking at all this that's going on, the advent of the whole UFO phenomena being discussed in our Congress. They're
Yeah.
not getting anywhere. They never will. I mean, it's just it's a dog and pony show. I mean, it's what it is. It's like, show us what's down at Area 51.
Yeah.
Show us what's up at Wright Pat Field, and then we'll talk. But this stuff, well, Mr. Gresh, you did that. And I mean, at least they're doing it. I got to give them credit. But they've never moved the needle, and they never will. They've never moved the needle. I mean, I knew about all the stuff that's come out in the last 2 years. As a ufologist, I've studied all this. The Roswell bodies. I mean, how many people do you have to talk to? And before you realize, oh, they got the bodies, the non-human biologics, says David Grush. So now, just last week rather, they came out with this whole thing. Oh, the Roswell weather balloon story again. It's like, seriously, guys, seriously, you just won't let it go. How many eyewitnesses do we need? I did a whole show on this. Actually, it's not up yet, but it will be. In our film on Roswell, we've got 2 films on Roswell, okay? And on our film on Roswell, we sat down with people that are as close to the event as you possibly can. We were actually in Hangar 84. We interviewed a husband and wife who were end-of-life caretakers for Colonel Hill, who stated on the record to them that he was flown into Roswell to try to communicate with one of the aliens that was still alive. He couldn't do it. And this is 47. This is a month before the guy dies. Walter G. Hunt does a deathbed confession. You can go online and you can, not deathbed, but it's an affidavit only to be opened after he passes away. And he talks about being brought into Hangar 84. The bodies are there. The craft is there. I mean, why would the guy do this? Because he's weighted down. He can't say anything, but after he dies, and that's out there. Then you get, and I did a show on this, the whole General Ramey telegram. Thank you, Kevin Randall, for bringing that out. And there's the General Ramey holding this goofy telegram, and it says right there, bodies, disc. Well, if it's a weather balloon, what are we looking at? What's a disc? I was at a lecture at Pepperdine University years ago. They had some ex-general guy there talking to the students, insisting that all this was a weather balloon and that the bodies were crash test dummies. Well, what they didn't expect is L.A. Marzulli in the audience, because I live in Malibu, I live in the Santa Monica Mountains. Pepperdine's in Malibu. Raised my hand. Yeah, I have a question. How is it that you talk about the crash test dummies that were allegedly found at the Roswell crash site, when the crash test dummies were not deployed until 1952 and Roswell was in 1947? Completely annihilated the guy. Yeah, and he gave me some goofy answer, this long twist, which made no sense at all. I just got up and walked out. I mean, you're just a disinfo agent set by the government. And that's 20 years ago. That's how the game was played. Now we have transparency. No, we don't. We don't have any transparency. We have congressmen and whistleblowers who have come out. And this is right here, Rungs of Disclosure. This led to the book, Commander David Fravor, 2017. On the record, on Tucker Carlson, looking right at the camera, whatever this was not from this earth. There it is. That's what he saw. And it moves away 50 miles in 2 seconds. The G-forces would crush a human being, but that's because the entities, the craft, is bending space and time. So Jesus warns us, by the way, that it'll be like the days of Noah when he returns. Everyone 2,000 years ago, they all know exactly what Jesus is talking about. No one's going, gee, I wonder what the days of Noah are. Everyone knows, because the Sethite theory has not been invented yet. That wasn't invented until right around Augustine, centuries later, okay? That's when they take the passage of Genesis 6. Oh, the sons of God are the godly lines of Seth, and the women of earth, the daughters of men, are the hoochie mamas of Cain. That's what it's talking about. Excuse me. Every Jew that listened to Jesus when he said it'll be like the days of Noah, they knew exactly what he was talking about. The bones of the Nephilim were openly on display in Jerusalem at the time when Jesus is ministering. Everything was destroyed in AD 70. It's all gone. But everybody who was in earshot and that gospel being written, they all know exactly what he's talking about. No, there's no equivocation. No one has to go, days of Noah? I have no idea because they all knew about the Nephilim. The bones were there in Jerusalem. I'm not making this up. Josephus quotes it. So, here we are, and the church is asleep, and I'm part of a church, and I love the church. But for the most part, the church is asleep. They won't deal with the UFO phenomena. They won't deal with the Nephilim. They won't deal with the fact that Israel is back in the homeland. The anti Semitism, even within church walls, is unbelievable. I'm going to do a special report on Holocaust Remembrance Day. There was a woman years ago, the original photographs burnt in the fire, but I created a PowerPoint presentation with them. And her grandfather was a photographer embedded with Eisenhower, General Eisenhower.
Oh man.
Right, I'm not making this up. There's one photograph with Eisenhower in the picture.
Okay.
So when
I'm not doubting you. I'm just
yeah,
listening.
no, it's good. So when he dies, she gets this black and white photos. They're very disturbing, extremely disturbing, and I'm going to run it. I'm going to show it on whether I do it on YouTube or Rumble. I'm not sure yet. Definitely on Rumble.
Yeah.
But is it too hot to handle on YouTube? More than likely.
Maybe test it out on X.
I could try. Yeah. But it shows the horrors of the camps like you won't believe. Most people have seen it. The idiot Greta Thunberg, with her peace flotilla, they go into Israel. She won't even watch what happened on October 7th.
Yeah.
And people go, oh, the Jews are killing all these people. These aren't the Jews, they're the Khazarians. And it's like, excuse me, tell me how you deal with Amos 9, 14, and 15. And I interviewed Jonathan Cahn, Rabbi Jonathan Cahn, on this. And he told me that on May 14th, 1948, that scripture, Amos 9, 14, 15, was being read in every single synagogue worldwide. And that scripture says this: I will bring back the captives of my people Israel. Check. They will build the waste cities and inhabit them. Check. They will plant vineyards and drink the wine from them. Check. They will also plant gardens and eat the fruit from them. Check, check, check. I will plant them in their land, and never again will they be plucked up out of the land I have given them. So when you show that to an anti-Semite, they won't deal with that. They immediately deflect and go to another argument. Excuse me, last time I checked, Hamas still has not surrendered. Hamas is still holding hostages, and no one talks about the 1,200 people, civilians mostly, who were mercilessly tortured on October 7th. I mean, in the most heinous, disgusting of ways. It's just, no one talks about that. And meanwhile, Israel is still in a 7-front war. They're still fighting Syria. They're still fighting in Lebanon. They're still fighting on the West Bank. They're still fighting in Gaza. The Houthis are still messing with them. I mean, the Iranians are behind the whole thing. I mean, where does it end? But
They
it's
have to
all
show
the Jews'
strength.
fault. It's all the Jews' fault. It's unbelievable.
Israel has to show strength on all fronts. Mm. And it's so complex. That whole area is so complex. Like I have questions on why any of the surrounding countries won't take them in. Why are they refusing them in Egypt? Why are they refusing them? Like, uh,
These
but
are
what do I
Arabs.
know? Yeah,
These are all Arabs.
I know.
There's
And
no
it
such thing
doesn't
as
it
Palestinians.
it doesn't
Right.
help that I was in the evacuation of Kabul. I was in 11 Bravo on the front lines, like on the tarmac of the evacuation. And
Wow.
there was a lot of things that were not shown on video, but I I
Wow.
I sympathize. I do. Um the I'm stuck on the quantum chip and the Nephilim, because while I do track the ufology and the UFOs, I'm not as well versed as you.
That's
And
okay.
so,
Go where
um,
you want to go. It's all good.
I do have more questions about UFOs since we were headed that way. If, and this is just my general question is, if it's bad or if it's good, then why all this obfuscation, literal
Deliberate
missions?
obfuscation.
Yeah, literal missions of being bad actors. Like I remember I was listening to one of the I can't remember his name right now. He just produced a film on UFO disclosure. It was down on the Virginia phenomenon, but he was talking to Spielberg, and they were talking about how they had the literal footage from Roswell, and it was plucked from them from the DoD because they were trying to create their own disclosure film, and then it was plucked from that disclosure, and they were given the fake one. Where they came in with the little bowls and they're like it was a really bad one, but then they kept trying to remake it over. So they were going over that, but I still come back to if it's good, why are we hiding it? Like we
Why?
have ZPE, zero point energy. That's what's on the table of being proposed. Like they even state, Bob Lazar says that they come back every 10 years to try and crack a reactor that they haven't been able to crack since the 50s. That's terrifying because that what if we are the primate in this scenario where it just happens to be a nuclear reactor? And in this metaphor, we're just the chimp poking at it with a stick until we explode. So that's my question. Like, I believe that there was another whistleblower who came out and told um, James Corbell and another man that this is essentially just an experiment and that we're resources. So either
Yeah, it
way,
depends on who you talk to. I mean, people have different spins. They've got different, when we're not doing any conferences anymore. My followers know that. The next conference we'll do will be in October at the Prophecy Watchers Conference. But when I was doing conferences,
Mhm.
because we're focusing on our YouTube channel because we get, 10, 30, 40, 100,000 people a day coming in,
Oh
depending
yeah.
on what we're doing. So why do all this when we've got the audience? So we're really working on our YouTube channel and building that up. But when I would speak at UFO conferences, I would look at the audience and I go, how many of you in the audience think it's okay to abduct a 5-year-old boy and implant him with a chip? Anybody? Not a hand goes up. Not a hand goes up. And I look at the audience and I go, you've already answered your whole question. Why can't
Yeah.
you take the next step and understand that these are not extraterrestrials from Zeta Reticuli or Epsilon Eridani or some faraway galaxy? They are, in fact, the fallen angels. They are interdimensional entities which can manipulate space, time, matter, and energy in ways that completely defy our physics. And they have a very nefarious agenda, very nefarious. And I'll give myself a shameless plug. So this is our 10-box DVD set. This is created by Gil Zimmerman, my business partner, and myself. 10 DVDs. And
Hmm.
we have a sale going on, lamarzulli.com. And you can get all 10 for like, 49 bucks or something, because we want to get the information out. Close encounters of the first, second, third, and fourth kind. Cattle mutilations, abductions, crop circles, 2 films on Roswell, and finally, what does it all mean? What is the truth? What are we looking at here? We're
Hmm.
the only Christian ministry that has this type of a deep dive. And I've been doing this for like 30 years. And I say this with all due respect to a church, they still don't want to hear it for the most part. And that's why we're going off the road,
Yeah.
because you guys don't want to hear it. The people that go to our YouTube channel, we got 237,000, actually 238,000 subscribers. We don't get that every day, but 10,000 people, 40,000
Yeah.
people,
It's
that's a
engagement.
stadium,
Yeah.
right? It's give me a break. So that's what we're focusing on. And the people that want to hear it, they come to our channel and I tell them constantly what's going on, whether we have another rug on the disclosure ladder. You can see right behind me. That's the pyramid of Khafre. I'll be
Yeah.
interviewing. I was one of the first people to actually interview the 2 scientists
Mm.
after that came out, and they're coming back on the show because they have a conference that's coming up, and we're going to plug the heck out of that conference because there's a hidden history. And let me just show you something. Let me just get it
Okay.
here. Thank you, Chauncey, my webmaster.
And those are from the SARS scan?
It's what?
Are those the model you're holding? That's from the SARS scans? Am I
This,
saying that
this
right?
yeah, this is from the satellites that went over the Khafre pyramid. So this is what it would look like. And there were, what people don't understand, there were 2 different satellites
Hmm.
created by 2 different companies that went numerous times over the Khafre pyramid. what the heck is this? What are we looking at? This is 2,100 feet between the base of Khafre right here, the base of Khafre, and 2,100 feet. And then you get these structures below. If it holds, it rewrites history. So you say, well, LA, what are we looking at? Well, first
Yeah.
of all, this this was destroyed in the flood, in my opinion. And this is not angel technology. This is fallen angel technology.
Yeah.
Fallen angel technology. And the reason for the one of the reasons for the flood is they had created this worldwide grid system, like the days of Noah.
Yeah.
Guess what? The grid
The, f-
system is back, and we helped build it.
the free electricity system.
That's
Could
what it
that be
was.
what
Power
Nikola
plant.
Tesla? Yeah, Nikola Tesla's towers.
Yeah,
Some
Wardenclyffe.
Yeah, there was a theory that I was entertaining. It was about a possible reset from testing out a Tesla tower like thousands of years ago, and then they used satellite pictures to show where it would be and like how big the blast would be. And it was a cone that started in like I think it would be where UAE is right now, across to the Americas. And I was like, that seems like it could be a possibility if it could generate just more than comprehensible amounts of energy. But I sit on the with the pyramids. The pyramids, I've seen people build to like obviously not to scale, but to miniaturize, and that it actually has regenerative properties for inside of what's in the pyramid,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
also I was doing like a thought experiment with my wife just one day, and I was telling her, and I was like, what if like that's how they kept, I don't know, the knowledge of the elders down there, and then they used frequency and sound to push it up, and that's why they call them the ascension chambers. But I don't have anything to prove that. That is pure pure skepticism. And dude, what are your thoughts? Do you think that a mud flood happened or that I I really just want to know more because that is a lot of structure to go it down into what is just sand. So would it there would man, I have so many questions that I don't even know how to form it. It would have to be something solid or there would be a need for those to go all the way down as far as they do, specifically to root it where it's at. So do you think that the geography of the area now is what it was then?
Yes, yes, and no. I would say some of it is because if this holds, if the data holds from the scientists, it rewrites history, completely rewrites history.
Yeah.
And Egyptologists, with all due respect, like Dr. Zawi Hawass, they got to start thinking everything over again. If the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids, then who did? If the if the Shawnee did not construct the Octagon Mound and the Circle Mound in Newark, Ohio, then who did? If the Shawnee did not construct the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio, then who did? If the Native Americans, so-called First Nation people, did not build Cahokia, 450,000 tons of earth. You know what that looks like?
Oh yeah.
450,000 tons of earth
A
and
whole hell.
Fort Ancient in once again in Ohio. I've been to all these places I just mentioned. So Fort Ancient is a site, 3.5 miles of continuous earthen walls. And when we were there, it was spring equinox, and the serpent, right, was directly over the gate. Oh, gee, what a coincidence! America Stonehenge, right? It's built on, the serpent.
Yeah.
It's built on Dracos. The whole site aligns with the constellation Dracos, the dragon. The whole gateway at Fort Ancient, spring equinox. There's not Ophiuchus, but the serpent's there. It's always about the serpent. Always, 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 always. And so you take that 3.5 miles of earthen walls and you deconstruct them, you get 200 miles of dump trucks end to end, parked end to end, 200 miles of dump trucks. And you're trying to tell me that Native Americans did this with deer antlers and digging sticks and birch bark baskets? Not buying it. But
With
that, you see,
scarcity of resources too.
plus they only had, 4 or 6 months to work because the ground freezes.
Yeah.
4 months, 4 to 5 months out of the year. So
It
now
would
what?
take
Where
centuries.
I mean, it's just, and they were master. I mean, you listen to these guys. It's just then the octagon mount.
Yeah.
So the octagon mount in Ohio, we have a film coming out this year on this whole thing. We did a deep dive on it, and I know
Mhm.
the flack we're gonna get hammered on this, but that's okay. We're used to it. The octagon mount is an unequal octagon. It encompasses 50 acres of land. Okay.
That's
And two of the sides of the octagon are unequal. You're looking at advanced geometry. Now, it's one thing if I took a piece of paper and a pen and drew an octagon on this, but in order to draw a real octagon, I need a protractor. I need to know geometry. I need to know angles. I need to know all this and rulers
yeah.
and a compass and all. Well, they don't have that.
Mm-mm.
And it's over 50 acres, 50 acres of land. And if I say, the Shawnee did not do this because we have written recording, oral tradition from the Shawnee that it was there when they came into the site 300 or 400 years ago. So we're supposed to look at what is the truth? Why do they lie to us all the time?
Mhm.
Because it points back to the biblical prophetic narrative. It points back to the coming in of the Nephilim tribes that came out of the conquest of Canaan with Joshua and Caleb. They moved into Cyprus. They went to Gozo, Malta, Sardinia, Sicily, the Balearics, the whole deal up into Spain, Majorca. I've been to all these places, by the way. We filmed there. Menga, the greatest dolmen in all of Europe. The slab of this thing is just like, you've got to be kidding me. Way bigger than anything in the King's Chamber.
Mhm.
Completely absurd. Menga, from Menga, goes into Portugal. All the sites that were there. 80,000 standing stones in France. Finally, England, Stonehenge, and all the long barrows and the elongated skulls and the megalithic structures and the dolmens. And then same thing, it goes to Ireland. And then it just comes over here to the New World. It just comes right over here
In the
and
Midwest.
in the Midwest. And the tribes, all the Native American tribes talk about it. But here's the deal. One guy stands up in archaeological circles who was the head guy. And he said, here's the deal. Native Americans built all this stuff. They just forgot that they had done so, which is one of the most racist statements I've ever heard. Why? Because Native Americans, First Nation people, take great care in their oral tradition. It's passed down. And there's nothing in their oral tradition which says we did this, we did that's not there. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist. And you talk to some First Nation people off the record, they will tell you, yeah, we didn't do this. We didn't do this. It was here when we got here.
Isn't there structures in the Grand Canyon, and sections of the Grand Canyon actually like cordoned off and you're not allowed in there?
Yes and no. That's an expedition I would like to undertake. You see, this stuff's been bandied around for forever.
Mhm.
And so people, there's Egyptians down there, and it's Admiral Byrd's diary. Oh my gosh, LA Admiral Byrd's diary. Oh. You can write Admiral Byrd's diary in an afternoon. Somebody vet that. We don't know where it's from, but everybody just takes that as fact. Not buying it.
Yeah.
Unless you got boots on the ground in the Grand Canyon, and you're nosing around. And I've had some interesting reports. I had a guy who had some property in the Grand Canyon, and a friend of his had shot an elk, and he's on a blood trail, and this elk jumps over a fence. Do not enter. So
Mhm.
he's on a blood trail.
Yeah.
So he goes over the fence. Within 5 minutes, the guys in the blacked out SUVs with the antennas show up. What are you doing here, buddy? So there's stuff.
Yeah.
There may be stuff. And this is why on our website, we've got over 2,000 signatures so far. LAMarzulli.com. There's a petition. And when we're trying to get, 10, 20, 30,000 signatures to give to the Secretary of Interior. And just today I read where the Smithsonian now is going to start to comply, with all the nonsense. They're just, And here's the deal. If they have something and they know you're coming for it, what do you think they're going to do with it, right? Exactly. What do you think they did with the JFK files?
Oh,
Well,
those things been changed.
yeah, we've released the 80,000 files on JFK, you know,
Yeah.
power to the people. Nonsense. Total nonsense. That stuff was shredded and gone, or it's in a secret room, never to see the light of day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all, look, all this to say that he's got Jesus. He's got to come back sooner than later because you can't fix this anymore.
Yeah.
Can't. We're just way beyond the point of fixing, circling back to the AI thing. It ain't going to go away. And that's the most alarming advancement, if you want to call it that, in
Mhm.
technology in my lifetime that I have ever seen.
Yeah, because it's not like it's not what people can do with it right now. That's a
Right.
problem. It's
Right.
the possibility of evil down the road. Because people, when the internet came out, they said that this was going to expand upon every skill that we have now. It's created a whole heck of a lot more problems than it's helped. But it also created a whole different reality that we live in now because we've acclimated to it. We've got generations into this, and AI is going to do the same. So is quantum technology, so is all this other stuff. And I don't want to put it out there, but it there will come a time where someone who doesn't have the same morals or ethics as everyone else has
Right.
control.
Yes.
And I mean, it's written, and so it is written, so it shall be,
Yep.
that he will proclaim under the temple that he is God.
Yep.
And so,
It's
that's another
coming.
thing. That's another
Yeah.
thing we could talk about because I believe I saw in actual news the other day, IDF soldiers wearing the third temple patch so that they're in construction of the third temple as prophesied.
Yeah. It's amazing how people who hold to a preterist view will never understand what they're looking at. People who are replacement theology or hold to replacement theology, where the church receives all the present blessings of Israel
Yeah.
and Jews really don't count anymore, they'll never get there. I mean, I have friends like this that are clueless. Replacement theology, it's just what a joke. You'll never figure out what's going on, and they
Mhm.
never do. The temple will be rebuilt. There's no doubt about it. I'm a biblical literalist. They already have everything cut out. That thing can go up in a couple of months.
Oh,
The
yeah.
temple will be rebuilt. The wall outside the temple, and I've been to the Temple Mount. When you walk on the Temple Mount, Alaska is over here. Then you walk and you make a left-hand turn. So you're and on the left is the Dome of the Rock, behind that the Well of Souls. But between that causeway that goes down the side of a Temple Mount, to your left is the Dome of the Rock. You've
Mhm.
got, remember, the Temple Mount is 40 acres,
Yeah.
first of all. It's 40 acres.
It's
It gets
huge.
really huge. So there's plenty of room for the Jewish temple. And guess what? The guy who cuts the deal, he's the AC. You can tap dance around that till the cows come home. You can do the Texas two-step, till Aunt Betty bakes her pie, but it ain't going to work. It's going to happen. What was written will come to pass. What was foretold is unfolding. But if you're replacement theology, you can't get there. You don't understand what you're looking at. If you don't believe that these are the children of Israel, the descendants, the captives that he's brought back, you can't get there. So I'm a dyed-in-the-wool dispensationalist, but I'm also a charismatic dispensationalist. I believe in the gifts of the Spirit. I walk in them and travel in them. So, people go, well, this was invented by Darby. So was the rapture and all this. Excuse me, a brief history lesson, because most people don't know this. All
Okay.
right. So you've got the Gospels written from the first century into the second century. Then the Bible's locked up, it's closed. Then around 400, Augustine comes in, spiritualizes everything, and the nonsense begins. All right. The nonsense begins. Then you move into basically 1,000 years of dark ages where the laity, people don't read the Bible. They can't read the Bible. They're not allowed to read it. Then in 1444, roughly, Gutenberg comes on the scene with the printing press. and he starts printing. Then Tyndale is burned at the stake. Why? Translating the Bible in English. No, no, no. All Darby did was for the first time, he had access to the scriptures. He had access to the scriptures, where before nobody had access to the scriptures. The common man had no idea, just like I had access to the scriptures. So I'm reading Genesis 6, trying to figure out what the heck is going on. Who's this God of the Old Testament who's so wrathful? Because nobody knew about the Nephilim. But my mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas's book, that book changed my life. The Omega Conspiracy. The book changed my life. That was my first introduction to the Nephilim. And then Gary Stearman, Genesis 3:15, talking about Masid War. And Masid War, folks, is the gateway to the rest of the biblical prophetic narrative. If we don't understand the correct exegesis of Genesis 3:15, we have no idea of what's going on in the rest of the biblical prophetic narrative. We don't. We have no clue. Because Genesis 3:15 is the gateway to the Bible. Jesus is in the garden. He says to the dragon, your seed, your offspring, your offspring. Well, the angels can't reproduce. Blah, blah, blah. It never says that anywhere. It says we'll be like them, not given in marriage. But it doesn't say that they can't reproduce. That's a 3-hour conversation.
Mhm.
So they leave their first estate, the book of Jude. They come down and they do the unthinkable, Genesis 6. So Genesis 3:15, the pre-incarnate Christ is in the garden, talking to the dragon, Satan, your seed, your offspring will be at war, at enmity with the offspring of the woman. Who's the offspring of the woman? The proto-evangelium, the Messiah. There it is. Understand that, the whole Bible opens up. Don't understand that, good luck. And then you get errant theological positions like replacement theology, which is absolutely ridiculous, or that we're actually in the millennial kingdom right now. This is the millennial kingdom. If that's it, I'll shave my head and become a Buddhist. I've had it.
I've been seeing recently the Satan's little season theory that we're that's where we're at. I was like, where did this come from?
Where, what idiot, with all due respect, came up with that one? Satan's little season for 2,000 years? You lost your freaking mind? You know, the Lord himself will descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel and the trump of God. The dead in Christ will rise first. We who are alive and remain will be caught up together with those in the clouds to greet the Lord in the air, and so shall we evermore be with the Lord. Revelation 19. That's not Revelation 19, but Revelation 19. I saw heaven standing open, and there before me was a white horse whose rider is faithful and true. With justice he makes war. His eyes are like flaming fire. On his head is many crowns. He has a name written on himself that no one but he himself knows. He is dressed in a robe dipped in blood, and he is called the Word of God. The armies of heaven rode with him on flying white horses, by the way.
Mhm.
It just says horses, but those horses are coming from heaven to earth. They can fly. Hello. Flying white horses. The armies of heaven rode with him on horses, white horses, dressed in fine linen, white and clean. Out of his mouth comes a sharp sword with which to strike the nations. He will rule them with a rod of iron. There it is. We're not in the tribulation. That hasn't happened yet. He hasn't
Mhm.
come down here. He treads the winepress of the fury of the wrath of God. We haven't seen that yet. And on his robe and on his side is written King of Kings. Last time I checked, the Mount of Olives was still intact, was not split in two. If you're a biblical literalist, you can get there and
Yeah.
you can understand, we can understand the tenuous times in which we find ourselves living in. But if you're not, good luck. Then you latch on to replacement theology, or you're a preterist, or you're an amillennialist. And the majority of the church, by the way, is amillennial. The majority. I have another 5 minutes and then I got to go.
Okay.
We
Yeah, I'm
started.
I'm in the same boat of Bible literalist. I found myself in that more recently as um well, life just tend to happen over the past decades. Concluded my service, but at what that'll conclude my questions for right now, Lloyd. I do appreciate your time. I This was so much information that I'm
Who's
gonna have
Lloyd?
to have. I mean, not Lloyd. I'm so sorry.
That's right. Hey, I got a name
I
change.
just
I'm
did.
Lloyd.
I just interviewed Lloyd Auerbach, who's a parapsychologist. So that was a fun interview about ghosts and different different topics. But
No
I'm
worries.
so
It's all
sorry.
good. It's all good, Nick.
I do find myself more of a Bible literalist after just life has happened over the past decade, and I do appreciate it, LA. It's it's amazing. And while I might not have all the knowledge that comes with, I mean, what, 4 decades of this for you? I mean, I can only appreciate it, and
Thank you.
I'm trying to catch up as much as I
That's
can.
good. Glory to the King. Before
Yeah,
I go, can I just say lamarzulli.com? There's 34 films, 14 books. You can stream a film for $5, $4.99. Streaming.lamarzulli.net, streaming.lamarzulli.net. Everything is in HD. And, what are you waiting for? We've scratched the surface here. 34 films, 14 books. Nick, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Officials endeavoring to obtain all top flying saucers.
Marcel's own words, it was something that he'd never seen before, something from another world. In our opinion, Marcel was a patsy.
Just verbal directions, we know what's about it.
That his father was telling the truth.
He dead in the eye, and he said, it really happened. And he held his hand up just like this. They had 6 fingers, not 5.
He said they looked quite a bit like us.
Do you think your grandfather was a patsy?
100%.
The cover-up by the U.S. military.
Do you believe our government has made contact with intelligent extraterrestrials?
I can't discuss in public setting.
Do we have the bodies of the pilots?
Biologics came to some of these recoveries.
He deliberately obfuscated and they lied to the American people.
When the Pentagon decided to lie about what happened at Roswell.
Because standing 6 feet away, this little being about 3.5 feet tall.
She said the nurses who were there during the crash, they're now at a convent.
The first book that Randall wrote, and he said to Jess, he said, that's not fiction.
But for everybody, I mean, this is a human thing. It's a worldwide changing, be life-changing for everyone.
Was certainly not a weather balloon and not something from this earth.